Hello everyone, welcome to another great stream of Legacy here in Togores MTG. Last Monday, the banned list was announced and we lost TimeBolt and Entomb. So I've been waiting for today to see how the metagame evolved to make the Legacy tier list. We are gonna do a fast research here on Magic Online, what are the most played decks, and then what I think are the best decks in the format. Is a Delver has probably stayed over the format. It had not a great matchup against Dimir Reanimator, but it's very good against most of the other decks, so probably being a strong deck right now. Izzet Cutter, Lightning Bolt, Force of Will, Days Wasteland still working. So for me, probably the best deck of the format is Blue-Red Delver. Now playing Delver, actual factual Delver. Then we have the next two decks that I think are the best decks in the format. Mystic Forge, One Eternal Weekend, Europe, no cards, USA. No cards were banned from it, and yeah, deck still on top. And then Dimir Tempo, which has not that many good matchups as Izzet Delver, but still beats mostly of the decks that Izzet Delver beats, but it beats Izzet Delver. Having cards like Nethergoyf and Barrogoyf that survive Lightning Bolt is a great tool, and playing Thoxis on a Cutter is also a good way. So probably the next best decks are these three. I'm not sure which I will put first from Forge or Dimir Tempo, but they are still very strong. Forge is a great deck, loses to hate and different things, but if you draw the broken hands, the deck is still great. Now we have a lot of decks that are on tier 2. I don't think there is any more decks that are tier 1 currently. Probably the decks I will put on tier 2 is Show and Tell. Show and Tell has come back as the big creature deck in Atraxa and Emrakul. It was very bad against the Dimir Tempo because they could just Thoxis your Atraxa and Reanimate it, also Dimir Reanimator. But now they don't have this, so you play a classic game against the Dimir decks, which I like playing a lot, like 3 Carpet of Flowers in the sideboard and this kind of decks. Show and Tell, Moonstompy, still good, probably a bit down due to it being decent against the Dimir decks, but not that great against the Izzet Cutter deck. So it goes a bit low. Well, I think Lance was a good deck in the past. I don't think it's anymore. It's also not great against the blue-red deck, while it was very good against the Reanimator deck. What else? The Valid Breakfast was a decent tier 2. I haven't seen great results of this deck yet, but still very playable, and probably Larson will be able to win a lot with this. Eldrazi is also a very good deck in the format. We were currently playing a league with it on Magic Online. And we can see here the deck that I'm currently playing in the league, if Magic Online works. We had to stop at the middle of the games because I could not finish my match. So this is the deck I'm playing, just Eldrazi cards and testing Talisman of Impulse. This deck is quite decent against most of the Legacy metagame. Cloudpost is also a great deck, the blue Cloudpost deck that has been doing very well. It's not great against blue-reds and also not great against Show and Tell, which has taken out in popularity, but still a strong deck that I enjoy a lot. Upsa Spells is also good. It lost two of their three worst matchups in Dimir, in Forge. Now the worst matchup were Forge, Tefalid, and Reanimator, so now only Forge remains because the Tefalid is no more a Nadu deck. So probably some were here. Doomsday is also back. It had a bad matchup against the Reanimate deck. Now Doomsday is probably the Tamiyo combo deck, and Tamiyo is very strong there. Ocelot Pride is also a deck I think is very good. It has very decent matchup against Blue-Red Delver and can beat a lot of the other decks. Cabal Therapy is very strong in the format, and I will like to play the Mardu deck over the Dimir deck. So Beanstalk is probably also back due to the ban of Nadu. It had a very bad matchup against Nadu, so Beanstalk tends to be very good against Delver decks. So the green decks with Rite of the Reliquary are also probably back somewhere in the tier C, where Endurance is a great card, and now you cannot get just comboed or outvalued by Nadu. Then Omnitel, also a deck that can do something. I still think that Show and Tell, Sneak and Show is the better deck, but still Omnitel can do something. We're playing against a blue-black deck with Tamiyo's and a sideboard of Barrogoyves and Bowmaster, Doughties, and Brazen Borrower that changes into this kind of hybrid deck, which doesn't seem bad at all. Painters, also not great. I was speaking this morning with a friend, and he says, yeah, I love the Legacy Painter deck. He doesn't play Painter with High Tiki. I play almost Legacy every week. If you want to see me. Painter is not those great decks because Painter is very good if the format is very blue, and currently the format is not very blue. We are not in a world where blue-red Delver plays Delver, Murktide, Brazen Borrower, and Expressive Iteration. We live in a world where half of the creatures are non-blue. So you cannot Pyroblast DRC and you cannot Pyroblast Cutter, which are the two best cards of the deck. So if Pyroblast is not a great card, you can also not Pyroblast Nethergoyf or Barrogoyf or Bowmasters or anything from the Forge deck. You cannot Pyroblast Sneak Attack, Eldrazi. So if Pyroblast is not a great card in the format, then Red Delver is not great. Maybe it could be a Red Painter. Maybe you could play Blue Painter, but those is even worse because it doesn't Hydroblast doesn't kill anything from those other decks. You know what shops have tournaments of Legacy Madrid? Yes, we have a Legacy tournament each Saturday in the southern Madrid and every Sunday in the northern Madrid in Júpiter Juegos, Alcobendas. So it's like 4 rounds, 10 proxies at 10:30. So Painters, Death and Taxes should be a decent deck because it beats on those fair tempo decks. Let's see how it is. Death and Taxes is always a matchup lottery coin flip deck because if you face the decks that you want to face, the deck crashes. But if you face, for example, against Sneak and Show is not that bad. Omnitel is very bad. You face against Doomsday, Upstall Spells, lands, Cloudpost. The matchup is very bad. I also think they don't have a great matchup against the Forge deck. So that's my thoughts. Stifle Nouts has not been played, but probably still a decent deck to play. The Pox deck has taken in popularity. It's played a lot, but not like it's the best deck in the world, but still there. Interesting that you place Doomsday and Omnitel so low. I think Doomsday is a good deck, but if it hasn't put up results, I cannot put it more on top. Like you see, it's like the 12th, 13th most played deck. Why do you think Sneak is better than Omni? Because having 2 plans and not being always in need of Show and Tell is great. I like Sneak Attack. Then Show and Tell, Omnitel tends to be a 3-mana 3-card Show and Tell combo deck, while Sneak Attack is a 2-card Sneak and Show combo deck. So I like Sneak and Show better mostly. So then we have decks like Jeskai With Us, which also can come back. No more Atraxas coming down on turn 2 after a Thoxis, or Nadu killing you. And then we have some decks that probably are not very good and I will not put on top, but I like them and they could come back. That is Storm, 8-cast, Green-White, Depths, and Dredge. Dredge being now the 2nd graveyard combo deck can be something, and that's probably what I think. And the Yugi version with Veils, probably you have to play Tamor with Sneak and Show. So I do think the best Sneak and Show list is probably something like this. Like you play, maybe not the Brazen Borrower, but Atraxas and Emrakul, Spell Pierce, Veil of Summer, Frontal, Stock Ups, Lotus Petal, 1 Omniscience, then Carpet of Floors, which I like to play more of those. Cage, Prime. So, and you play probably this. And I think this deck is pretty good against most of the deck, while the Omnitail deck has some flaws. I think this deck is a bit better. Probably will leave the tier list like so, putting the tier A in order, the tier B probably also in order, and then the tier C is probably something like maybe for play rates, something like this, maybe, I don't know. But I think the tier 3 has just a bit of matchup lottery, and then the rest. But going into Eternal Weekend, I would expect that Forge, Dimir Tempo, and Is It Tempo are the most played decks, then followed by some of those. I will probably lose like in every big event against Oops of Spells on round 4 or something like that, while undefeated, which has happened in most of my Legacy big events lately. Still having 2 forces or 2 hate cards or something like that still there to them on turn 2. And then you will face any of those decks, and they're strong. They have some good and bad matchups. If you get to solve the bad matchups of your deck, like Doomsday losing to Izzet Delver, or Omnitail losing to Dimir Delver, or Lance losing to Forge, very bad. Then Painter's probably being a medium deck. Beanstalk being also just a medium deck that beats some, loses to some. Stiflenaut, you get lucky and draw the Stiflenaut a lot. Smallpox is a decent deck. If you are Johan Larsson and play Cephalid and beat everyone, they are not adapting Stoneforge Mystic. At least that was the first day of the format where they put up some results, but I think that's the last list of Larsson. Stoneforge Mystic, Narcomoeba, Tamillos, and then this is a Tamillo combo deck. And there will be, for the next 3 months, a lot of Tamillo combo decks in the format. Doomsday Tier C. B is easy in my opinion. That might be. I already spoke about Doomsday. The deck is a 13th most played deck and has not a great matchup against the best deck of the format. So just, if the deck gets played more, it's better. I cannot put Higer, a deck that has almost no representation currently. Maybe at Eternal Weekend it's 10% of the metagame and the deck is just tier A. I think the deck is great. That's something I have to tell everyone, but just if it doesn't get enough play, I can not put it higher. I put it on the highest of tier C. And yeah, I think that's mostly it. So it's more based on player than perceived power. I think it's a bit of both. Like, I try to make the tier list based on how much the deck are played and how much they are strong. It's always difficult to know. Like, you can be playing, for example, I don't know, Stiflenaut. Stiflenaut can be the best deck in the format, or the second or third best deck. But if no one is playing it, is it the best deck? Like, I put Nadu always on the near to the top, while the data say that it was one of the Nadu midrange deck was one of the best decks of the format with a crazy high 57% win rate. And the deck was just underplayed. Sometimes not even being on the first page of MTGO Goldfish. No one was playing that deck. Well, it was great. I was playing it and just winning events and doing very well with it. But if no one plays, you cannot say, yeah, this is the best deck if it doesn't exist. And then this is a mix of how good that deck is, plus how much you are gonna face this. Doomsday can be great, but probably at Eternal Weekend on day 1, you have like from the, I think it's 8 rounds on day 1, you are probably gonna face it half a round on average. If you will play 2 Eternal Weekends, you're probably playing against 1 Doomsday deck in the whole 2 events. So you cannot say this deck is great if it doesn't exist. But yeah, I would like everyone to prove me wrong. Like, if you follow Brian Cook, he says, yeah, for example, last year, I'm having a 73% win rate with the Epic Storm, and top 8 on Eternal Weekend, did well in other events. But if the deck is only played by 1 player, is the deck great? Was the Valid Breakfast last year great before Nadu got printed, when almost only Larsson was playing it? You can not say a deck is good if no one is playing it. That's the biggest. It's the right of the reliquary great. Yeah, everyone who plays it says the deck is amazing, the deck is great, but this deck doesn't exist. If you're Hello Newton and you play this deck and you 5-0 half of your leagues, then yes, I'm fine. But the deck is not here. I'm not playing against this. It's less than a half of a 1% in the metagame. Here you go to, it's hard to see Newtons because he has like 10 different accounts. If you have here one result each, whatever, here. Legacy Challenge, Hello Newton, 4th, yeah. If you are OTP Cradle Control, then you're fine. But I cannot put the deck higher if no one is playing it. So that's it. If you're playing Eternal Weekend, tell me what you think about this tier and what you expect to face. How did you approach in the comments? And yeah, always like and subscribe on YouTube.